Hi everyone, and welcome to Lipstick on a Rig. Today we're going to be making this incredibly simple DIY chunky yarn ribbed beanie. For this project, I'm going to be using 2 strands of size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, and this is just the Big Twist Value brand and the color is olive. But this project is also really great for scrap yarn because it doesn't have to be the same size, weight, brand, or type to work. And if you're working with a chunky yarn, then you only need 1 strand. And we're also going to be using a size K or 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. To get started, go ahead and grab both ends of your strand of yarn, and for this entire project we are going to crochet them simultaneously like they are 1 strand. So to get started, we are going to attach the yarn to our crochet hook with a slip knot. From here we are just going to chain 30. And if you're unfamiliar with any of the stitches used in this pattern, then please check the links in the description because I will have my stitch tutorials listed down there for you. And keep in mind that you can always adjust the number of chains to your desired slouchiness. So if you want it to be a little bit more slouchy, go ahead and tack on a couple more chains. But if you want to decrease the slouchiness, then go ahead and remove a few. So when you get to the end of your row, we're going to turn our work and we are going to skip this last chain. That's going to act as our turning chain. And from here, we're going to insert our crochet hook in the back loop only of our second chain from our crochet hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through for a slip stitch. And we're just going to repeat this for the next 5 stitches so that we have a total of 6 stitches with a slip stitch in the back loop only. And with 6 stitches, you have a pretty small brim. But if you want your brim to be larger, then all you have to do is increase the number of stitches that you place a slip stitch in the back loop only. So maybe you want to make it 9 stitches or 10 stitches. If you'd like to have a larger brim, go ahead and adjust that now. So once you have the stitches that make up your brim in place, then we're going to yarn over and we're going to place 1/2 double crochet slip stitch in the rest of the stitches in our row. So to do that, you're going to yarn over and then just insert your crochet hook into both sides of your stitch here. And then we're going to yarn over and we're going to drop all those loops on our crochet hook, which should be 3. And we're just going to repeat that process going all the way up the rest of our row. So depending on the number of stitches that you use to make up your brim, this number might be a little bit different, but at the end of the row you should have a total of 29 stitches. And when you get to the end of your row, you're just going to chain 1 and turn your work. And from here we're going to begin repeating 2 rows over and over and over again. So the first row of that repetition is going to be to place 1/2 double crochet slip stitch until you get to the brim portion of your beanie down here. So for me that's 23 stitches. So I'm going to place 1/2 double crochet slip stitch in my first 23 stitches. But if you adjusted the number of stitches for your brim, then you're going to need to adjust the number of stitches, basically 29 minus the number of stitches in your brim. And once you get down to the stitches that make up your brim, then we're going to switch to placing 1 slip stitch in the back loop only for those stitches. And once you're done placing your slip stitches in the back loop only, then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And the second row that we're going to repeat is we're going to place 1 slip stitch in the back loop only of our first 6 stitches, or whatever number you decided on for your brim. And then we're going to place 1/2 double crochet slip stitch in the rest of the stitches in our row. And when you get to the end of your row, you're just going to chain 1 and turn your work. And from here, we're just going to repeat those last 2 rows over and over and over again until our beanie gets to our desired width, which for me is going to be around 18 inches, but that might vary depending on the size of the head of the person that you're making this for. And I went ahead and repeated that until my beanie reached about 18 inches. And you can see here that this is the portion where we have our slip stitches, and this is where we have our 1/2 double crochet slip stitches. So from here, we're just going to fold our beanie in half like this. So from here, what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch these 2 edges together. And in order to do that, make sure that you've ended to where your crochet hook is down by your brim and on the opposite side of your starting tail. And that's just so that once we crochet these 2 edges together, our tails will be on the same side. So to get started, you're going to insert your crochet hook up underneath the full stitch on the side where your crochet hook is, and then up underneath the available loop on the opposite edge. And from here, we're just going to yarn over and drop all the loops on our crochet hook for a slip stitch. And we're just going to repeat that process going up the portion that makes our brim. And when you get to these half double crochet slip stitches, you're going to do the exact same thing. So you're going to insert your crochet hook up underneath that full stitch and then up underneath the available loop at the top edge of your other side. And make sure that when you're doing this that you are not working in this sort of slanted stitch right here. That's your extra loop. Make sure you're working in the very top stitch right here. And we're just going to repeat that going all the way up the edge of our beanie. And once you're done joining those two edges together, then you can cut and tie off your yarn. And I like to tie my starting and ending tail together a couple of times just to secure them. And next, I went ahead and cut a strand of yarn that is roughly 2 feet in length. And working on the side where we have our tails, we're going to weave this strand of yarn along the top edge of our beanie. And I'm going to try to weave mine at the top of each of my ridges. And once you're done weaving this strand of yarn along your top edge, then go ahead and grab both ends of your strand of yarn and we are going to pull them nice and tight. And from here, we're just going to tie these two strands of yarn together as tightly as we can to secure the top of our beanie. And then from here, we're just going to turn our beanie inside out. And in the description, I will link to my DIY pom-pom maker. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.